This is Governor Brian Kemp. I want to thank the Board of Pardons and Paroles for 80 years of service to the state of Georgia. Since its creation by the General Assembly and approval by the people of our state, the men and women of the board and their dedicated staff have carried out this critical task. Through a commitment to both public safety and providing second chances to deserving individuals, generations of Georgians have benefited from the work of this essential entity. Through its pardon power or parole authority, the board has played an important part in the reintegration of Georgians ready to rebuild their lives. Thank you for all your service, and congratulations again on this great milestone.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Call the quarterly board meeting of the State Board's Pardons Parole to order.
A lot of changes have occurred over the last 80 years. For example, in the early 40s, parole was decided by the Commissioner of Corrections. And obviously, parole was determined to be mostly an opportunity to regulate bed space within the Department of Corrections.
My name is Cecil McCall. I was appointed to the board, I guess, in 1972, I believe, as chairman. We were 3 members then, with Jack Partain and Joe Maddox as the other 2. While I was chairman, the governor appointed, first of all, the board expanded to 5 members. Mamie Reese was here as a board member, and Tom Jenkins were here as board members. Those, incidentally, were the first female black and black member to be appointed to the board.
Well, the first big change was the change from 3 members to 5. When I first came to central office, we had metal carts that we hauled files around on. Every file was moved by hand, and that was a big task.
It was very, very busy. The caseload was very heavy. We couldn't keep up on normal working hours. We were here every day that we could. We carried boxes of cases home. On the weekends we would work.
Initially, in 1979, when I was first hired, the parole officer did investigations and supervision as well. So there was no distinction as today between parole investigators and community supervision officers. We were responsible for doing institutional interviews, the personal history statements, supervising, arresting parolees. So we had to learn all of those different aspects of the job.
Well, the transition is going from using manual typewriters to bringing in computers. Because when I started with the agency, everything was manual. You were handwriting and typing documents, and then we moved over to introducing computers, to having the documents and everything being done electronically.
To me, it was the going from a paper-driven system to going to an automated business model. And that revolutionized the way where you are today with parole. It allowed cases to be processed.
My name is Walt Davis. I started with the Parole Board in 1984 as a parole officer in the field division in the Marietta office. Nobody had done anything like that in the country. And it was a genesis of a conversation that Tony Mazza and I had. And it came out of a situation where we were sending all these paper files when somebody would discharge from parole to the record center. So we applied for a grant, a federal grant through the archives, through the federal archives, and were able to get a grant. I don't remember exactly what it was. It seemed like it was about a $7 million grant. And we put a team together and we started looking at every aspect of the clemency process.
It affected every area of parole, from, like I say, investigations coming in to staff processing cases to the board actually making decisions on cases.
And we took, and our team, our development team took all that and put it into an electronic process to the point where ultimately the board members can vote from home.
Later on, to see more women in leadership roles, because most of the directors and things like that, when we started, there were very few women. We had, women board members, which was great to see more women becoming, in larger roles like Rita is now. And, at the time, Sheila Thompson, that was very rare for a woman to be director of parole or director of clemency. Beth Oxford, people like that, being in roles like that.
I think there's probably maybe 3 very significant changes that have occurred in the time that I've been on the board. Number 1 is in the electronic review process. Coming to the board, everything was done paper. Today, everything is done through electronic reviews, which gives us so much more efficiencies than the earlier boards had and could ever think to have. Secondly, our victim services have made a mad push to be able to locate all victims of crime and to make sure that they're registered if they want to be registered, so that they can have a vital part of parole decision making in the state. And then thirdly, the board has vested operational powers in an executive director, freeing up the opportunities for the board to concentrate more to its decision-making processes for release. While in the early 40s, right on through the 80s, and even in the 90s, and believe it or not, even in the 2000s, decisions were made based on paper. Today, with all of our modern technology using the electronic review process, while it has created many efficiencies, public safety has still remained at the forefront of every decision that we make.
I thought the caliber of person we had working with parole matches up against any group of people I worked with in the federal government, and this includes Department of State, and they put a lot of emphasis on being Georgetown and Ivy League educated, and I don't think the staff of the Georgia Parole Board is, they don't have anything on the staff of the Georgia Parole Board in terms of caring about the job, compassion, and so on.
That's what makes parole what it is. Having good administrators, having people who are leaders, who can think outside the box and who take care of their employees.
I spent my life from 21 until I retired with parole people. Much of it right here in this very office. Those were my friends, they were my work buddies. It was just a great job.
But this is one of the best, just talking to other people, even people that came from other agencies will tell you, we don't just say it because we work here. Just listening to other people about where they work, I just can't relate.
You got a sense of a family. We were small enough that we had a family, a sense of family, right? We weren't this huge state, like DOT or something. We still had that sense of family, and that's important. And I felt that when I left, you know. And I don't know whether that's still true, but I hope it is.
Chris Barnett is always saying, you know, your family is first. You know, you need to take care of your family. And I just feel through all of those years that I always felt that support.
Because they truly have treated us like a family.